With it being Columbus Day, it only makes sense to visit the treasure Corpus Christi has in its own marina, La Nina, one of the replicas of the ship Christopher Columbus sailed to the New World. Unfortunately, after being damaged during Harvey, the upkeep of the ship has been difficult. Marissa Cummings is live at the marina right now with more. Marina and Marissa.
That's right, Rudy. La Nina has remained flooded for 4 months after Hurricane Harvey hit, and the Columbus Sailing Association was able to clean it up thanks to donations. But there's a lot more that needs to be done here, and they can't afford to fix it. The members of the Columbus Sailing Association have dwindled down to 3, making it hard to preserve La Nina. There have been people interested in taking over ownership, but no one has pulled the trigger. The president of the organization, Kim Mrazek, views the ship as her child. She saw it when it first docked into Corpus Christi and even sailed on it. Mrazek says her dream would be for an educational institution to take ownership of it.
That could offer a 15th century sailing class, that could offer 15th century carpentry. How was she put together? How was she built? How do they form the knees? How do they bend the lumber to go on the cantilever deck the way it should?
But as of right now, Mrazek is still sending out proposals for possible owners. Mrazek says La Nina has a lot of life left, but it does need a new bottom, and that could cost an estimated $30,000. Reporting live from the Corpus Christi Marina, Marissa Cummings, 3 News.
All right,
Rudy.
Marissa, thanks a lot for that report, Marissa. Meantime.